Today I'll be sharing with you my hands from the $100 double up event on Ignition, which is a non-turbo one, because that way you're going to be able to see, some of the tendencies of the players and then be able to sort of adjust accordingly. And yeah, this first hand I remember is kind of an interesting one, when this guy's checking. I sort of figured he's probably not going to be checking out much 9x. That's kind of the reason why I decide to fire on the turn, and also here when we block like the nuts with Jack 8 and also 6 8. Well, it's not literally that's like when we block the straight outs. It's just a very natural counter just to overbet, and the guy does end up folding. And in most, yeah, people will often like overfold, like even though the flush and straight draws, even though the flush draws kind of miss on both ends, and we block one of them. We'd much rather not have the king of spades, but yeah, still, if this guy is way overfolding, then it just makes this a very profitable decision. So clearly a pretty good start. We can just skip ahead past a bunch of these hands that don't get played. This one, yeah, we just took down the blinds, and yeah, you'll notice the 2.5x sizing kind of being used each time. Just using the same sizing because a lot of these guys will use different sizes. Yeah, you're just pretty standard to check back top set here. And but he decides to check back. Okay, unfortunately, he just doesn't have a hand to pay us off with, but it is what it is. We're getting skip past. Yeah, some of these hands where it's clear don't have a good enough hand. King 9 suit also a good candidate to kind of like ISO. It's sort of like part of the bluff range where we still have decent equity post flop, and the guy does call, and yeah, we just get a very very nice card. But yeah, when it's a double flush board, it's a very good candidate just to bet big. In hindsight, maybe I wish I'd bet like maybe 11 or 12 big blinds instead because he did end up folding. But yeah, it does still deny some equity, even though I wouldn't really want to get paid on that one. So we can sort of see a pattern here. These guys is often like just folding to big turn bets. I would say they're probably like over folding to big turn bets. So it means that they could sort of work quite well as bluffs, and with the value, you could sort of bet like half pot instead. Also notice, yeah, that ace nine is just not really a playable enough hand. You need probably like at least ace jack. Yeah, guy bet three big blinds. Yeah, you probably need at least ace jack there to continue, or ace like 10 suited maybe. I mean, I guess some of the weaker suited ace is still playable enough, but it is a freeway pot, which does mean you need a much, much better hand in that sense. So yeah, take like at least ace 10. Because yeah, when we have like three callers, yeah, we're just going to check fold. Because the board also just hits the buttons range very, very well. So that's why we just check a second time. We're not going to take a stab here. And yeah, this guy ends up raising. He had like Jack 9 from memory. So yeah, that's only raising with monster hands pretty much every time on the river. Yeah, we can skip past a few of these hands. Yeah, this one where, yeah, if I had like a weaker kicker like King 7, King 6, maybe I'd fold to the three big blind size, but I felt this hand just good enough to go for. But yeah, the ace high flop, very clear fold there. Yeah, we can skip past this one. Yeah, here I did start to use a bit of a small size close. That these guys on my left seem to be folding a fair bit when I raised. So I thought, okay, maybe I can just take it down with a smaller bet, and they didn't really adjust. You can sort of see how these guys, yeah, just not really noticing bet sizing tells whatsoever, meaning you can just not really exploit that. I'm just going to focus on my own hands I played. Yeah, there are some ones I've done before where I sort of show some other, other hands that were played to observe the player tendencies. But yeah, this is one that I think, yeah, it's a pretty clear call. Check. When he bets this small, yeah, I think that it's just fine just to call down here. Because yeah, there are quite a few lot of bluffs that he can have. But yeah, when he checks, yeah, this sort of was a big tell for me. I realized, okay, this guy is never bluffing the river, but he is sort of firing with his flush draws. So it sort of told me that okay, it means that his river bet is very strong, and it probably even a hand like a Jack X would probably should fold to a river bet in some of these cases if he's being like that tight with his triple barreling range. Anyway, yeah, we decided to actually flat the pocket tens, which might seem really weird here, not to free bet, but this guy only played one hand as a limp, and this was his first hand as a raise, so I just felt that flatting the tens and just sort of playing him just some more slowly would work a lot better. And yeah, my intention was just to basically raise if he fired, but he ends up just checking it here. And yeah, with the six, I mean, yeah, decided just to go for like the pot size value. Unfortunately, he does fold here. Just yeah, we do have like the 10 of hearts. But yeah, looking at it now, maybe I should have just bet half pot and just got paid by like the 9x or the two pairs or whatever, or maybe even the over pairs. So I may have missed out some value with the bet sizing. Like I think that even though I did end up, winning this double up event, I think that an adjustment I would make next time is, yeah, I would just not bet pot with the thick value, and I would just bet like much smaller size, like half pot. 'Cause then I would have got paid a lot more at the time, and I would have just, had a much bigger stack to work with. But yeah, it is what it is. Let's just fast forward. So yeah, this hand we have the pocket queens. We do get called. Yeah, this is pretty standard C bet here. I mean, yeah, Jack 4-3 just kind of hits us fairly well. Like the 4-3 is kind of good for big blinds range, but the Jack is obviously quite good for us. I think when it's an ace comes on the board, it's a pretty standard check with a decent chunk of the range. And yeah, I decided to go for some thin value, but he ends up just folding it and probably just didn't really have much. Maybe a busted flush draw or something. Yeah, ace deuce. I think I end up folding this hand, but yeah, maybe it's a little bit too nitty. But I just felt that okay, I just felt my hand would play really badly post flop, and I'd way too many instances where I kind of would call down and just like lose a big chunk of the stack and just happen not such a great spot. So yeah, a bit too nitty of a fold, but it was kind of. And here as well, I just felt like Jack Nine offsuit just doesn't play well post flop. So the hands that just play badly post flop, I usually just fold them pre when it's super multi-way. Ace eight, I think, is a pretty clear fold there, especially to a free big blind size. We do get another raise through in this one. Yeah, ace seven's kind of on the precipice. Like if I wasn't the big stack, maybe I would fold this hand. But as a big stack, yeah, you can kind of push them around a bit more. And also with the kind of ICM pressure of this guy being the second biggest stack, you can just go for these very small bets and just put a lot of pressure. That being said, the seven does complete a lot of draws, and we do have a hand that is probably good if it checks through, so to end up just checking it. And I mean, he might have paid us off with a free, but a thinking player also might, raise as a bluff with a freeze. Not these guys are really thinking players, but I think the check is okay. Like you're really not getting paid by much, I think, if you bet there. But who knows? This is ignition after all. So again, yeah, we get a this guy folded. So yeah, we get a heads up pot. And I think, yeah, the checking with Lottie Ace X just kind of makes sense here. That if I had a backdoor draw, like a backdoor flush draw to go with it, we probably would fire for a small amount, like 1.5. But yeah, at this point, I decide to call down just because I know that this guy's just never really bluffing on the river. So it means I can just fold if he, was had if he fires for value, and if he doesn't, that means my hand might be good. And yeah, we end up having a chop. So yeah, he ended up having a flush draw. So not a complete bluff on his part, but yeah, it was kind of a call I was quite proud of finding with the ace high there. Um, because there are definitely situations where I fold that in the past. But yeah, here we just kind of go for some thin value because the king four is kind of counterfeit. So we're sort of targeting like the fours and threes and under pairs, which do pay us off here. And yeah, let me just yep, it's all good. Also, if you're enjoying the video, do make sure to leave a like and also to consider subscribing. Doing our best to share some of the insights. And yeah, even though I've sort of been playing a little bit more aggressively with some of the hands, I do find in double-ups who are normally best guys go for a slightly tighter range than usual, especially when defending against raises. Just because, it's more about like stack preservation and accumulation. I mean, I just I just figured the hand is going all in anyway, so let's not play a pot out of position and just not get the full equity. We do end up having a better ace. So that kind of works out. I mean, he should just jam ace eight. Obviously, there's no real reason to raise it there, but yeah, good to know that the free big blind size can also be some like middling sort of hands. And yeah, this one, I mean, yeah, we're just gonna just apply that sort of ICM pressure. Like you honestly probably could even go 1.5, might even be a better sizing, but okay, not the biggest difference. We get a bit lucky and hit the king, and out of position, I think you are gonna check back a pretty wide range, and you probably want to have like at least a somewhat good top pair, like maybe king 10 plus, I think will be the fresher where you'd start firing it. But yeah, in the end, I just check. I think it's not a great run out. And here actually I make a very exploitative fold. And the reason it is I think a lot of his bluffs kind of got there with the ace, and he'll have a lot of ace side he's checking down. So this might seem like a very nitty sort of fold, and yeah, the solve would obviously hate it. But I just think that this guy, when he sort of is raising a relatively small amount, like more tight aggressive, I just don't think he's ever really ever betting with like less than an ace in his spot on such a wet river. I could be completely wrong on that, but that was my feeling at the time. And then yeah, from this point we sort of get to like the Ramo Jamo part of the event where the stacks are short and people are just going to be jamming very wide. Then yeah, we end up getting a walk on that one. Can't complain about that. Yeah, this one we just raised for a small size. Actually, this guy had free bet so little. He only free bet one hand side. I actually would have probably folded if he had free bet jammed, but he ends up just folding there. And then we have this phase where yeah, it looks like you should have a very easy path to, to just making into the money. But it's sort of at the point where if you do fold every single hand, there is some chance, the guys just keep exchanging chips with one another and you slowly end up being a middle stack. That kind of happened to me too many times when I was playing these events relatively early on. And yeah, this guy, when he jams, think, okay, he's way under bluffing already, so let's just fold. And yeah, this guy ends up calling. We make a garbage pair, which we can just bet small. And again, when I sort of look at this guy, like he only free bet 4% of hands, raise 11%. So I just think with this raise, he's only ever raising like an 8 or better. So I actually make, again, very exploitative folds, where this should just be a pure call, I think, in Solverland. But I just think, yeah, he's just never really bluffing, I think. Like, I don't think he's doing this for a 6 or a 7. Because he's in a position where, like, if you look at the stacks, he can basically make the money just by folding and just waiting for the free stack show up and him to shorten him to go bust. So against me, yeah, he should only be raising like very, very strong hands in the ICM. So that's why I just folded because he's just like, yeah, way under bluff spot. When this guy jams, I think you just have to call off, even though the guy is like only has never free bet only raised one hand. I just think that he's so short that he's probably going to be getting desperate and just jamming a lot of different hands anyway. And that does sort of prove justified because he'd end up having pocket sixes, but yeah, he ends up getting straight over straight, which is kind of unlucky for us. There's also the reason why a hand like 5-6 suited is kind of the very best hand to have against aces, because then you'll often have like a straight over straight situation. Yeah, we end up getting that one through. And I will admit there was one point in this event where I was getting a little bit frustrated. Because what happened was I was just my raise is constantly getting jammed over. Like this, and I was sort of thinking, okay, are these guys kind of exploiting me? Because I'm well aware that yeah, in the Solver line, this is just meant to be a pure jam. I think in this spot, actually maybe not, because this guy does have a bigger stack. So actually maybe the raise fold might actually be the better play in this pool, and maybe just woke up with a monster hand. But yeah, it is what it is. I mean, potentially just min raising rather than jamming might potentially saved us $100 because in the past I would just, just jam very widely and then they would just keep calling all kinds of hands and I would just keep getting sucked out on. Because basically you're kind of trying to avoid going all in if you can help it. But yeah, when this guy raises, okay, he only has a monster, so we just fold. But yeah, this is sort of how my stack just started to slowly whittle down to the point where I'm now like even one of the shorter stacks, and it was yeah, just very frustrating because I didn't really feel like I'd done anything wrong per se against this pool, but I just run into quite a few monster hands with the min raise, and then I just yeah end up in a really yucky spot. But still, that paranoia was kind of entering my head, like, oh, are these guys massively exploiting me? And that's why I'm like, okay, Ace King, I think I just have to jam because I'm one of the shorter stacks. So ICM factor, is not really applying so much, and we do end up taking it down and getting back, yeah, to being sort of I think, third biggest stack now. Um, and yeah, when you sort of have the biggest stacks to your left, that obviously is a really compromising situation because if they jam, you just have to fold a lot. But if you jam and they call, you're also like your tournament life is at risk. So even though, yeah, it sort of shows me as the third biggest stack, I'd say that because of my position, I actually have the worst odds of everyone to make the money, just because of the fact that the two biggest stacks to my direct left. So not having the position is a really big disadvantage here. But yeah, in this case, yeah, we just have a bunch of hands just kind of fall. I do end up just jamming just because I'm so short here. I just think, okay, I'm the shortest stack now due to just, a bit of bad luck with being a bit card dead, having, a raise jammed over by the monster stack. So we do jam. The guy, in luck, fortunately for us, calls, and I just absolutely bemoan my luck. Like another event where I should have easily outplayed him on skill, but they just got lucky against me over and over. But yeah, here we do end up lucking out with winning the flip here, even getting a flush. I didn't even realize at the time because I was focused on the eight and the seven not coming or the 10 not coming. But yeah, that was really sort of the key hand that set us up. We had some bad luck, I think, with getting raised by guys who are only raising monster hands, but then we had some sort of good luck from there. And yeah, with two big blinds with his min raise, yeah, we do take it down. And yeah, like I said in the past, I would have just always jammed as the big stack, but now I realize that when against people who don't care at all about ICM, the correct play is just to, just play quite tight, essentially. Because yeah, like these guys just don't care. Like Sam, $100. They're like, oh, I make like $500 an hour. Why should I care about, losing $100 over some stupid decision? Like they're just not thinking rationally. So I sort of learn not to, imprint my sort of thought process onto them as we kind of take in a bit of money with the limp in that spot. And yeah, once again, like if this small blind had jammed, I would have called. If the big blind had, I would have folded. Is how I was going to approach it there. I mean, I probably should raise his hand, but I just kind of went to mode of, okay, I'm just going to just play super tight because I know I can make the money if I just keep folding everything, which again is not like the sort of solver approved play, but against people who don't care at all about ICM, the best thing to do is just let them kind of kill each other off in a sense. I think this was the last hand, yeah, with two big blinds. This guy raises, and yeah, obviously we're calling with ace king, but I think he had, yeah, and we end up just knocking him out. So that was the final hand where, yeah, the guy, was sort of, he was actually, raising a decent range, as you can see, like he wasn't really bluffing with those raises. But yeah, he was just unlucky to run into our ace king and for our hand to hold. So yeah, that was the video of me winning the double up. We can see, yeah, you do need a little bit of luck to even win these events where half the players win, because there will usually come a point where you need to win some sort of flip. Like there was a point in time where I would try to win these double ups without winning any sort of flip. What would happen is I would just end up, well, basically I would just end up blinding out and just, sort of being all in for like two big blinds at some point anyway, which, a lesser version had kind of happened here with like quite a few of my min raises getting jammed over in a sense. But yeah, you can sort of see that even though a lot of those got jammed over, we still, I think, got more money from the steals than what we lost from, the hands where they did free bet, because people just generally don't free bet enough in the low to mid sort of stakes, especially in these very soft sit and goes. So yeah, let me know in the comments below what were your thoughts on this video, any particular takeaways that you got from it. And yeah, on that note, I'll see you in the next one. Take care.